Welcome to the Course Creators Podcast with course design expert Jenny Rice. Whether you're an experienced creator or just starting out, this podcast helps build courses that resonate, transform, and make an impact. Each episode, we'll explore strategies and tips to help you create engaging, successful courses. Let's dive in.
Hi, this is Jenny with Course Creators Podcast. I'm so excited about our guest today. We've got Sue Griffey, who is a career impact coach. So welcome, Sue.
Thank you, Jenny, and thank you for having me. No one's ever asked me about my course creation, so this is great.
Yes, no, I'm very excited to have you guest today. So why don't we start with, tell me a bit about yourself and your background.
I am Sue Griffey, but in the virtual world, I'm known as Sue Mentors, which is the global mentoring consultancy that I run for people primarily in transition of all kinds, job seeking, promotions, whatever, around the world. I've been doing this for 15 years, but my whole career was in public health, global health evaluation, program evaluation. And that informed my mentoring for decades because I was always saying to people, show me the evidence. So I help people find evidence-based examples from excavating their evidence about the way in which they can tell a compelling career story and get known and noticed.
Mm-hmm. That's a great idea because then people share who they are through a compelling story, which I would imagine would have much more impact when you're looking for a new career or job or whatever it ends up being, right?
Exactly. And I always tell people we still aren't being taught how to do this in school.
No, absolutely, which is such a needed thing, right? Especially now, this day and age when career transitions happen much more frequently, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
All the time, unfortunately, or fortunately sometimes.
Yeah. So tell me about more of your courses that you offer and the transformation you provide for your learners.
I have one primary course. That's the one I want to talk about. And it's called Building and Updating Your Professional Presence in 4 Steps. It's a short course. It's free of charge. And what I find with the transformation, and the reason I've done this for over a decade formally as a course, is that people just getting into the course and doing the first step gain back their self-confidence. I hear over and over again that confidence surges for them because I'm showing them how to value their experience in a way that will mean something to the person hiring them, giving them a promotion, giving them a fellowship opportunity. In addition to the overall transformation, they also tell me that they then, which is my goal, never lack for an example when someone says, tell me about a time when, tell me how you solved this. And they know how to answer it because everything's right at the front of their brain. But also at each of the 4 steps, they produce a document or a platform. We end with LinkedIn, a platform that helps them identify their professional presence, and all these documents work together to tell the same story. So you go from your summary paragraph to a resume template to your LinkedIn virtual visibility.
That's great. So not only are you understanding who they are and what they have to offer, they're gaining the confidence they have when they're in job interviews to be able to answer those questions from the experience they're working with you. What a wonderful, wonderful solution for them.
Thank you. I take credit for giving them the tools and the know-how. I'm always amazed at the way they put things into practice. And I hear from, a good number of them about how things are going for them, which is also fun for me.
Right. And with your 4 steps, and from what I understand, you take them through different areas with worksheets and storytelling. So that brings them through to the end so that when they're looking for the job, they're going in with confidence, right? And ability to go in the interviews to do that. So.
Right, exactly.
It must be so rewarding for people that might come in confused, frustrated, unknown, and then to leave there with, hey, I've landed my ideal job or my ideal career.
Or at least they have a sense that they still have something to offer. I have young professionals. I have mid-career and older professionals who've never lost a job before or haven't looked for a job in 10 years. So things change dramatically right now. Almost every year, something's different in the resume or an addition in LinkedIn. But it gives them the confidence that they have they have what it takes to succeed. They just needed to learn how to excavate their evidence and use it.
Right, right, which is really good too. Again, as I mentioned, people that are confused or frustrated, they have that awareness after. Wonderful. So when you think of creating your course, what were some of the challenges that you faced and how did you overcome them?
This was a fascinating question for me because I never really thought about it. I had actually developed a lot of videos in conjunction with my graduate university, Tulane University alumni, on various aspects of career, and also had tools, guidance documents, checklists, all sorts of things. And I did all of this because I got tired of saying the same thing over and over again in my one-to-one, in the old days, one-to-one mentees. And so when it came to putting the course together, I had the materials there. That wasn't so much of a challenge because I had done training and learning and development before. But what I didn't realize until probably year 2 of the course, I started the course in late 2021. So effectively, we've just finished 3 full years. I didn't realize that the changing world of work, which I keep my eye on quarterly and do a presentation on it, is requiring me to keep things updated in different ways. So the videos had longevity. Most of the information in there was fine. I discovered, and what my challenge was keeping documents and guidance updated and making sure that people knew that there was an update to the resume template, for example, or to the instructions for how to write a 4 to 6 sentence, I call it a biopara, your summary paragraph that leads in and tells your story. I also learned that I didn't want to put the materials only on I use Teachable, the Teachable platform, that by linking to Dropbox, I could make a change in the course book, small or big. They could get it anytime they got on. They got the updated version of it. So I didn't have to say, oh, here's a new link, don't forget about this. And in fact, almost weekly, I will log on because I have people registering all the time. And I'll see someone from a year or 2 ago who's back on the course materials looking for something clearly, which I think is great. That was my intention in using Teachable. So the challenge was more not realizing how quickly or what kinds of things I'd have to change and be aware of making sure that I had opportunities to not give people constant directions. Now here's a new link. Now here's another link. Now here's another link. That way they just go and look for it and it's always updated.
That's great. So set it up so that when things change and updates happen, it's easily accessible for you to update it and for your learners to access.
Right. And they have no idea that the version's
time
changed usually because they haven't used it before.
Well, what a great insight. I always tell my clients that are course creators to say that you always need to look at updating your content because not only it might need a facelift, it might need some content changes or some re-angling for different things. So it's so wonderful that you do that proactively to making sure things are current and up to date, and you provide that in real time for your learners, right? Which is really key. Wonderful you do that. I'm so glad that you're exhibiting that because a lot of people don't do that. They say one and done and that's it, but ongoing updates is really important too.
Yeah. It
Absolutely.
Is. And since I use the materials in private client mentoring, they often will go through the course as well. But it just helps me reinforce that no matter what, there's one source of Sue's truth anyway. Sue Mentor's truth is here.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Love it. Love it. So as we end the podcast here, thank you again for being a guest. What tips do you have for other course creators?
I have 3. The first one may be obvious, but I think even my stuff needs more bite-sized chunks. You've got to think of learning as bite-sized chunks. There's no more lecturing for an hour or 40 minutes and then having Q&A for 20 minutes, the old webinar format that I see many people still using. So people want shorter amounts of didactic info. They don't need to use to hear everything. But they also, which gets forgotten sometimes by course creators that maybe didn't start out as learning and development professionals, but had a lot of information to share. We need to make sure that every little step in my first step, for example, is linked to an activity. So You say, here, pull out this checklist now. The first thing you do is write the first sentence. Write it right now. Don't wait and go through the whole 6 sentences and then say, now sit down and write it. I mean, I do a little of that overview as well. So that's my first one, bite-sized chunks. Always think of really short stuff these days, and we all know about attention span. The second thing for me, and I thought about the few courses, I've done a lot of free courses and a few paid courses. People who don't necessarily come from a user focus, maybe they haven't had a lot of direct interaction with all of their users and their audience, but they know that there's content appreciated by them. We need to make sure that we understand that the course takers are there, not just that they trust us, but they want time with us. So if you have a cohort group, in my case, they submit an assignment, they get a review meeting, a live review meeting with me, as well as I can do it with people all over the world, or at least video feedback. But that is what people are wanting to have in a course. Anybody can read my course book and get value from it. Not everybody can get an individual 10 minutes, 15-minute review with me and hear my focus and why I'm suggesting certain things. So that's the second piece. Sorry.
Go ahead.
The third one is something that I've been more and more aware of. I have some really good coaching and LinkedIn friends on LinkedIn for the past 3 years. We've really been making an effort to make sure we put captions on all of our videos. And I did that. In fact, I was in the middle of doing it when I had someone sign up who said to me, I can't take the course because not everything's captioned. And that sped up my captioning. Mm-hmm. But here's what I've learned to do, because I work in a global world. A lot of people in the course, after each step, they have to fill in just a little feedback form. And most of it's drop-down list, but some people will write things. And I ask them if they use the captions. They do. And if you think about a LinkedIn Live or a webinar, the captions are in the bottom third of the page, mostly. And they're covering up the contents there. So I've now made a PowerPoint template where I have literally a chyron like the news folks do. It's about a little over an inch that I reserve, and I don't consider that part of my designing panel for the content, so that there will always be room for captions. My data viz PowerPoint presentation expert course person that I take with Ann Emery showed me how we could make them transparent so they flowed in each color, for I have color-coded sections. So don't forget about accessibility. I am amazed at the stepwise and then the overall evaluation, how many people actually do read the captions, and they're valued there. And I know I do too. So yes, those are my 3 tips for thinking about the courses.
Wow, we got 3 tips instead of 1. So I want to see if I can remember them all. Because the first one I heard 2 in there in that chunks of information, which is so very important. Our attention span is so limited that you want to get that chunk in there and do that. But you also mentioned application and experience-based, which is so critical. I believe people are buying transformation, not information. So it's really important to get them to actually do that. And I love that you said time with you, because you're right. If people go off on their own a lot of times, then they go off and they get discouraged and things like that. So having that value add that you give into them is really, really key to that. And captioning is really interesting. I didn't know so much that people, I knew the accessibility standpoint, but it's really good other people are using it, because then there's a value add in there that people can actually use that. So good on you for researching that and asking your clients. I heard a 4th tip in there. You evaluate feedback from your clients and get them to say, how did it go? And then do you have in there a question, say, what could be improved better? So you're always upgrading.
And the minute I read the feedback, if I need to, I email the person and say, let's get, this is my old fashioned, let's get on a call. Or I'll make an immediate change. Someone who pointed out something was in the wrong order. And she said, why would you tell me about mistakes after I've already submitted the work? And I thought, oh yeah, why did I put it there at the end? So, and they all see that. They see that I change based on their feedback when it makes sense and makes the course better. So yeah, I mean, getting an evaluation after the course is over is always difficult, but.
Yeah, but you're asking for it and getting it. And when you get it, You get such valuable insights, right?
I do. I definitely do. Yeah, it makes every step of the way worthwhile because I realize how much it helps people.
Well, you're my star course creator person because you're thinking about all the design principles when it comes into adult learning, which is really key. A lot of people that I talk with that are course creators, they want to come in there and give kitchen sink and everything. They don't realize that no, giving too much information is not over delivering, it's overwhelming people.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're thinking about all these things in chunk size, providing the value add, the captions and things like that is really, really amazing. I'm inspired by it. So thank you for that.
And I forgot to tell people at the beginning, it's sticking and I don't know. Oh, there it is. I'm also the mentor with Pom Poms. So I celebrate big wins, small wins, and everything in between. And I think it also makes me approachable. People feel that I will often hear them say, I got pom poms, like it's an Emmy award, but just to help us stop to realize the value in just people getting to the course and making a start. I've had people who've done one step and told me that they never went on, but it was life-changing.
Amazing. Yeah. Very inspiring. I'm so glad you're a guest on this podcast. So thank you so much, Sue, for being here. So this is Jenny Rice, Course Creator Podcast with Sue Griffey, Career Impact Coach, and a pom-pom Sue mentor, right?
Yes. I'll give some pom-poms at the end again. Yay!
Okay, there we go. There we go. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Course Creators Podcast. For more insights and to connect with a community of creators, join our Course Creator channel on The Great Discovery. We offer both free and premium memberships. Check the link below. Until next time, keep creating, inspiring, and transforming lives.